What's really funny about this year is like everybody's always known the expression 2020 vision, right? It's supposed to be like clear sight. Like you see things very clearly, 2020.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this year is like the craziest stuff I've ever seen going on. Meanwhile, it's in 2020. Like, I think we got it all wrong. 2020 actually means everything's crazy to look at. 2020 vision is like beer goggles on a cosmic scale.
That's some interesting conspiratorial thinking you're doing.
Yeah, you like that, eh?
It's insightful.
I've clearly been out of work for 7 months.
I was going to say, that's what happens when you're inside.
You're just in a dark room and just muttering to yourself.
I don't need to be in a dark room to mutter to myself. We all know that.
Seeing the Illuminati everywhere.
Hey, man. It's not paranoia when they're all out to get you.
I'm going to get you. I think those are...
I am having nothing but problems trying to get all these links shared properly. This has been my nightmare right now. Because...
Wow.
For some reason, YouTube has just decided, no, you don't get the proper thumbnails, etc. You get what I give you. So
YouTube shut us down, and we didn't even start talking about Corona yet.
I'm trying to share the title now on Reddit so that it doesn't look like I'm just sharing the entirety of YouTube on the. Oh man.
Oh, maybe the Reddit users don't know about it. It's this streaming service,
right? It's just linked to
Stop
YouTube.
trying to upload like the videos of like Shrek, and then every time there's green on the screen, like all of Happy Days plays, and then like the infinite recursion.
It's like those little Facebook bots when you mention a movie. It's like, hey, you like this movie? How about you watch this entire movie on this?
Yeah, remember trying to talk about Avengers Infinity, the set?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Actually, what Facebook likes to do now is show me ads for the thing I just bought.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the best one. You should really buy this.
It's all on sale now.
Bought it.
YouTube advertises to me Dollar Shave Club, already have a subscription. There's a beard care company that I just ordered something from. Like, guys, I know this stuff exists.
Literally, my last order from superherostuff.com, it just keeps advertising exactly what I bought last time at superherostuff.com.
All right, who's up for talking about some Heroclix?
I'm way into it.
Tom's like, would you guys just shut up? I am joining this week. Bye, Tom.
My advertisement's in French. What the hell?
Bye, Jay. I got the whole crew here. Before we get started, I got to play Heroclix this week. In a venue. We have very limited numbers right now. We're having strict mask rules. Don't touch other people's stuff. But we're running tournaments. And it was fine. It was good. It was a good experience. Everybody was very patient with the new rules, of course. We had 5 players other than myself playing. I was playing the bye because I was the judge. And yeah, it was a good time over Dolly. So, we're keeping, like I said, we're keeping a strict limit of 8 players maximum there right now, because that allows myself and Will, who runs the store, to be in the store. And then 8 players playing the game. But the store isn't technically open right now, so he's not really taking in walk-ins, as it were. And we have hand sanitizer everywhere. And Will's been washing the place down like on a regular basis, so like it smells like bleach sometimes when I walk in there. It's like, whoa, all right, we're clean. So it was a good time. I got to fiddle around with the Injustice League, and I'm growing more and more attached to them. So I was only playing the bye, so I was just goofing around for the most part, but. Man, I'm currently in this state where it's like, do I go with a Mazo and get rid of my sideline and disallow myself multiple characters? Or do I just not go with the Amazo or go with a Mazo without the sideline card? These are the conversations I'm having with myself right now about it. Anyway, I've been having, I got to have some fun playing Heroclix. And you guys, spoiler alert, got to play this weekend too, Tom and Mike.
Yeah, well, man, not in person like you did, but certainly we got to play Heroclix, and that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first game in at least 3-4 months for me. So yeah, thank you.
First sealed game in a long time. I'm a little surprised actually that in the whole amongst the various Rock Online stuff, they never had some simulated sealed thing.
I know some places have tried the simulated sealed where it was free entry. You're not getting the figures. So,
yeah, or just the usual entry cost. But I mean, I really love sealed. As much as I've missed Heroclix, I mean, I've been keeping in touch with it with the Heroclix Online thing, and of course we talk about it every week. So it still feels like it's very much in my lifeblood, even if I'm not playing so much. But what I've really missed, even more than Heroclix in general, is sealed. I adore sealed. Nothing feels better than cracking open some boosters and throwing together a team. It remains my favorite format to play, whether or not I think it has a big place in the competitive scene as a conversation for a day when there's nothing else to talk about. So we'll put a pin in that.
I do agree with you though on that. Though I have to put a sort of asterisk that I theoretically love sealed.
Yeah.
I love the concept and I've had success in it at times. I have also opened some of the biggest piles of steamy poo-poos before in sealed. So I know how much it can hurt, but I agree with Tom. I like the format. I enjoy the format way more.
Well, and of course,
it takes it back to the core of Clix.
Yeah, and we've played enough that sometimes you open terrible pieces and you make gold happen, and sometimes you pull great pieces and you don't. Yeah. So what I love about sealed to some extent is it takes, for me at least, it takes some of the pressure off. I can enjoy the game a lot more. Without the sort of the nagging feeling that if only I'd built this other team, I wouldn't be in this state right now, as you sometimes get to in a competitive game. I mean, by and large with sealed, you have the right team, or at least the best team you can get under the circumstances, and then you just take your chances and throw some dice.
Yeah, you're rarely sitting there going, oh, okay, I got 10 points left. Okay, Remaker ring, spin ring, or WWE ring. Yeah,
maybe I need the 10 range for my outwit, so do I want to put the liar on? No, I won't. I'm going to risk it. And then you're going to a game where you're like, if only I had 10 range outwit, I'd win. Yeah.
Well, what you do in that case is just you pull out your 2013 pack, and you're like, yeah, it says. That's what it says.
Right.
10 squares away, it says.
I remember playing a game because that was like 2013 or whatever. It changed from like 10 to 6. I played I think it was Fear itself, so it was like sealed. And I'm the guy positioned, and I'm like, okay. And then he's like 10. I'm like, no, sorry. And he's like,
Look, so, Jay, be honest. It
wasn't you.
No, it was me. I was gonna say, come on.
No, it literally was not you.
Damn it! I was pretty sure it was me.
I was gonna say that's a total. Mike.
No, I'm not picking on Mike again.
No, it's true though. I'm usually 2 sets behind. When did that rule change, Mike? Like 2015.
Mike,
you then rolled
for 5 years. I don't know.
You then rolled a 4 in your leitership and stated that you got it, and then
totally.
You immediately.
And then you gave action this turn.
Exactly.
I still totally do that.
Oh man,
I love it.
I am also looking forward to PJ Bolin over at Critical Clix. Is running probably one of the craziest tournament ideas. It's the first online tournament I've signed up on because it is the wackiest idea I've ever seen, and I want a part of it. The idea is it's double elimination tournament, so it's gonna be bracket style. If you lose twice, you're out. Every time, every round, the winner's bracket, the winning teams are added to a ban list. So no other player can play the figures on any of the winning teams. And I think it also includes elements like maps and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's going to get crazy pretty quick.
Yeah, the map that was played on or whatever.
Yep. The winning map gets banned.
I think after 3 maps got banned times whatever, and it's not limited, right?
Yeah. Like that's it. The tournament's over 64 people already.
Yeah,
it's going to be insane.
Originally, he was like, "I'm going to make a player cap of 64." And he's just like, you know what? Let's just keep going and see what happens.
Is it modern or is it golden?
It's modern.
Oh, that's so good. Oh. Wow, I want to be a part of that.
I think it's modern. Let me double check just to be sure.
It couldn't because he would have already posted a ban list to begin with. I would have imagined.
Because honestly, I would be excited to see Granny Goodness get played in the finale.
I'm going to check for permission
because it could happen.
I think I am going to live stream any game I'm involved in if PJ gives me the thumbs up to do that.
Because you're going to see some figures in those final rounds that like no one ever played.
After round 1 is going to be the most interesting HeroClix ever played. Because round 1 is going to be the meta stuff. You cannot count on being able to play Black Widow after round 1 or like high level metagame stuff after round 1. It's gone.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's like even if you choose not to play like the best thing, everybody else is, so you have to. but like, you know, and then it's like normal modern, but then it gets really weird. Yeah.
Well, that's why the first round is your most meta team.
Yeah.
Like, because it's all getting banned after the first round. Like, come on. At least 70% of the current meta is going to get banned after the first round.
And honestly, I'm just like, I don't even care if I win in the first round. If I have to sit in the losers bracket and watch the winners bracket make my ban list, I'm cool with that, because I just want to see what kind of silly stuff I can try to pull off, or what new figures I've got to really try to stretch past the first couple rounds. So you know what, Facebook is being very slow. I'm not going to be able to find out if for sure on something. But
you know what's great about this format though? No matter how long the tournament goes for, and no matter how long, like, you know, like the ban list goes, Starbrand is still never going to be played.
You think?
Yeah, I was going to say, wait till round
5. No. I was actually like, with this format, you know, you never know. Yeah. You never know.
You'll get there, and it's like, man, what character has hypersonic and like a lot of damage and is red?
It is modern. It is modern.
Yeah, it has to be 300 modern. Insane. Well, that would kind of defeat the whole point, I would think.
But that would also squeeze the pool a lot faster too. Because like if it was Golden Age, it would go forever.
Sure.
Like you really wouldn't run into any issues of, oh my gosh, what am I going to use? You have infinite options. But once you get into like third round, fourth round, it's going to look like somebody pulled a SEAL team.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be like I have Earth X theme team of X-51 and Spider's Man, and I quit.
Right? Like you should just go back to old MetaLab episodes and scroll through all the figures that we go, yeah, I mean, maybe I'd play him in a fun setting, or I guess
in a world without X figure. Well, guess what? After round 1, X figure is gone.
Well, that's it. Every figure as well that we have said is appropriately costed, and I'm not going to play him, is all getting played in round 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest criticism, and then it's going to be wow.
Like, all right, where's all that appropriately costed stuff, guys? Where is it?
Where are all those 75-point figures?
Where is game balance?
All right, who's ready to talk about some previews?
But
let's do it. All right, so first up, coming from I forgot our sources already. I'm terrible. I'm very tired. I apologize. I woke up like 6 in the middle of the night. This is from Clix Fix. The first figure we have here is figure number 13B, the Prime Common Black Leopard. It's got the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Wakanda, Ruler, and Warrior keywords. He's got a trait to fight for equality in Rujarda. I hope I said that right, but I probably didn't. The maximum attack, defense, and damage values of opposing characters within 6 squares and line of fire are each equal to Black Leopard's printed value of that type. He's got a special damage power in his first 3 clicks, reminders of how they view even a king. Leadership and Perplex. When Black Leopard uses Perplex to target himself, modify the chosen value by +2 instead if an opposing character within 6 squares in line of fire has a higher printed value for the chosen value that Black Leopard's printed Black Leopard's printed value. He's 50 points. He's indomitable. Aside from the special power on the first 3 clicks, he is a what you see is what you get dial. Tom, what do you think of the Black Leopard?
I think there's a lot to like. I guess I really had a hard time, and I still have a hard time, so I'll be interested to hear what y'all have to say, trying to kind of wrap my head around just how good that trait really is, because it seems really good, especially considering it's only opposing characters. I think that the way I wanted to approach it was to think, if I set the trait aside and just take a look at the figure, how is this as far as a good use of points and powers for 50 points? And judged on that merit, I think that he's quite decent. I mean, he's not spectacular. His attack values never go above 10, and half the dial out there in single digits, which these days is kind of low. And you know, his defenses also are maxed out at 17. Now he does have the reflexes there, but doesn't have stealth, unlike every other variation of T'Challa that we've ever seen ever. He doesn't gain stealth till the end of his dial, so he is a bit of a target as he makes his way up. And of course, you know, people who are shooting him outside of 6 can still take full advantage of trying to rip through his dial. So because that stuff is true, now, admittedly, he can perplex himself up, yada, yada. But the point being that, you know, he doesn't seem like he would be that hard to take out in kind of a meta setting if you're not if you're not able to do meaningful damage without being right next to somebody, or be able to do sort of progressive damage in close rather than counting on just like giant numbers on anybody, then I don't know how well your team is equipped to handle the game at large. But all the same, as 1/6 of a team that is otherwise there to take advantage of the fact that your opponent can't just crank their values to the sky, then I think that he's really quite effective. And you don't want his numbers to be too high, because then, of course, the trait works well. You don't want his numbers to be too low, or else he's not very useful on his own. So because I think he strikes a good balance between the two and is so disruptive to the battlefield, then I think that he certainly is decent. But I'm not yet convinced that he's groundbreaking. You can tell me if I'm wrong.
All right, Mike?
I think I'm going to use PJ's tournament, the Guilty Classic, as part of my criteria for judging things, and I'm going to say Black Leopard is like a round 3 figure. You know what I'm saying? So much like what Tom's saying, he's got some cool stuff there. I mean, come on, leadership and Perplex alone are always a good thing to have on a team. The extra action, the ability to take tokens off of people, and a modifier are great. The fact that he could potentially make it a +2 is not bad, but it is a little scary to think that he's got to be within 6 of somebody else who's got a higher value than him, you know, who might be about to smash him in the face anyway and take him out. So, you know, he's not a bad figure for those 50 points. Like, it almost feels like, wow, you're getting some pretty cool traits for the 50. But Tom really hits it on the head when he points out the killability of this character. I mean, a 17 defense with nothing from range, right? No boost from range, no stealth, no super senses, no nothing. It's just a 17 naked ranged attack. I just think he's probably getting taken out way too easily. So yeah, I'd say once you're into the 3rd round of PJ's tournament, you might be looking at this figure because he brings some interesting things in there, and most of the really good stuff that could kill him easily is already out.
All right, Jay?
So here's the story. Somebody, or the head designer at WizKids, was watching Tom play at Origins last year, and they saw him playing Mr. Terrific, and they were like, "Okay, gotta make that one better. Gotta do that better for the same 50 points." And I think with what you physically get on this character, on this dial or whatever, there's definitely the killability there. But I think once you build around him, and not even commit that many points. But I think once you have built to protect him enough, I think he'll become a really impressive asset. Like, he shares the ruler keyword with the Emma Frost chase that has the you can't target from out of 6 effect or whatever, so they're going to be within 6. Or you have on Avengers, you give him Nightbringer, and then you play him with no improved targeting Black Widow, and then they got to get in close, dealing with, you know, like a bunch of characters with reflexes, stealth, a lot of good stuff, and both of those investments are only 125 and 130 respectively. And I'm sure there's other teams, but it also depends. I mean, at the very least, unless I don't think there are any other primes. Oh, that's not true. There's the Ghost Rider prime with Fantastic Four. But I think worst case scenario, I think he's a better sideline option for the new Fantastic Four trait. So why not? Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to talk about that prime later, but I feel like, I mean, that's almost just every figure with Fantastic Four, but especially him, if you can play him.
I would agree, because he has there's a specific type of team that is really going to be sabotaged by this figure. So you're right. I think on the sideline for that trait, he's a really good option.
Sure. Yeah. I know, because Tom, you don't Facebook, you definitely haven't seen this, but there's the meme where it's Galactus, and the 13, 8, whatever damage, and it's Black Panther. He's like, no, we don't do that here.
That is funny.
We don't do that here. The only thing the way I picture the use of this guy is less about moving up the board and using that 10 movement to kind of get a 16 square effective range out of it. So in my head, I'm playing Serious Sam, and I hear the screams of those guys that are holding the 2 bombs, just going, "Ah!" And then he just shows up. And now, all the stats that they got bumped up are now 17 defense with 10 attack and 3 damage. And you kind of try to use that. Because that's another thing you got to... If the character isn't shooting him from outside of that 6 range, which you can probably make some arrangements to avoid, then they're only dealing 3 damage. And they're not killing him in one shot. And then you get some super senses. So there's stuff that I think is working in his favor. But I honestly kind of have to agree on because there are teams that will see him as a problem, and if you're building that Fantastic Four team with the build the new Fantastic Four trait, this is a guy to have on your sideline for sure. All right, next up, Claw.
Ulysses.
Claw has excuse me. Aim, Frightful 4, Masters of Evil, and Scientist keywords. His Frightful 4 trait, Sonic Wave, gives friendly characters with the Frightful 4 keyword. Friendly characters with the Frightful 4 keyword can use Energy Shield Deflection.
That's how a Sonic Wave works.
Yeah, sure. Overwhelming Blast of Sound. When Claw is KO'd, roll a d6. On a 4 to 6, deal 2 penetrating damage to all opposing characters within 4 squares. Special defense power, can't touch us. Barrier, invulnerability. When Claw uses Barrier, you may count range and draw a line of fire from the square of a friendly character with the Frightful 4 keyword. He's got the Masters of Evil team ability, 75 points. He's got that special defense on the first 3 clicks. Mike, what do you think of Claw?
75 points.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they should just highlight in red or something. Like every. I mean, I get what they're doing, right? Frightful 4, they're all 75 points. You can have 4 of them on your team for 300 points. How funny! Frightful 4, there's 4 of them. I get it. It's a theme thing, but I just ultimately that just kind of like squashes this figure a bit for me because he's got some interesting things. I mean, hey, great to get ESD on everybody on your team with Frightful 4 if that's what you're playing. If you're playing a named theme team, who doesn't mind a +2 to their defense against range? I love a +2, right?
I like the fact that I've got it twice on my last click.
Yeah, why not? And dealing damage to people when you die, okay, sure. He's got some Pulse Wave in there with some running shot mid-dial that he's totally going to skip past when he gets hit so easily with that 17 defense. Yeah, it's just like he's an interesting figure they put together that in a themed fun game adds some interesting flavor. And sure, being able to actually use Barrier, drawing lines of fire from his friends, well, you could play him defensively, and then they all get to move forward whenever you want. You just put up a barrier in front of one of them to protect them. But again, that's 75 points. That's like a quarter of your team you're leaving in your starting area. No move and attack to begin with. Yeah, sorry, Claw. Like, I see what you're trying to do, but I don't want any part of it.
Jay?
Can I just use the OP Kick Claw instead because he has Frightful 4?
Sure.
Yeah, I just cost of barrier also. Like, not every character with barrier shove is free, but like cost of barrier on a 75-point character is I guess if it doesn't add to his points, it's like fine, but I don't know. It's
well, something must have added to his points because he doesn't have move and attack. He doesn't have much of it all.
Well, yeah, and then that energy shield deflection on dial is
doesn't have willpower.
Really...
Colossal stamina ain't cheap.
Yeah, I just don't. I feel like if this is another one, like if it was undercosted, sure. Like there's a certain level, and like this is like fine for that, but yeah, I don't know what more there is to say, unfortunately.
Any more barbs to poke at this one there, Tom?
Well, certainly his last click is straight out of the Department of Redundancy Department. What is with that? What is with that ESD?
Black Widow.
so weird.
You can't use powers you can't use. Fine, I've got the power. You can't increase your values. I'm out.
All right, here's what I would ask you about this 75-point figure. Open question to the group. What's the best click on this 75-point figure?
What was that, click 4?
Maybe?
Give me a second.
Click 3.
Well, honestly, click 5.
I was going to say click, well... Yeah,
for me, with the way I play, click 5.
I think click 3 because Psychic Blast is more common than, you're going to be shooting him more often and then you're going to have ESD.
Right, so here's the problem. We have no idea because none of them are good enough to justify the figure. So if I don't want to play him on this first click, and I don't want to land on any of his other clicks, then what am I paying for? I don't want this.
He's costed like click 3, 4, and 5 are the first 3 clicks.
Let me tell you.
You play him to get the SD to wizard.
Yeah, I'll play him because let me put it to you this way: if the most reliable way that I have of dealing damage is giving 75 points to my opponent, then I don't want to play that figure.
If he was like 40 or 50 points, maybe I'd play him. Because again, I'm just going to sit him in my starting area, and he's just going to put a barrier in front of my guys all the time.
Truly, like the combination of no willpower and no move and attack and no decent range and kind of nothing going for him off the top, and kind of no really good click anywhere in the dial.
Like they assume he's going to die. They've given him a trait that allows you to do damage when he dies. Because they assume it's going to happen.
Right.
Sometimes.
You're paying 75 points for him to hopefully on a 50-50 chance to do 2 penetrating to a bunch of people. That's
I guess it's easy to look at him and forget that there is ESD here the whole time. He's one of the few pieces that actually has more clicks of ESD than he has clicks of life. But all the same, I don't think that's a selling point in and of itself.
Look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay 5 points less.
Oh my god.
I'm going to get 3 characters, 2 of which do guaranteed versions of what he does when he dies, and I have to play the Joker with it. Shucks.
Right. Yeah, you can't. I don't know. There's no reason to spend a lot of time on this guy because
we
too late.
spent a lot of time just making fun of him. Let's move on to Franklin Von Doom, shall we?
I will give them credit though. I think if this is the worst we get in this set so far, which I think it pretty much is, I think it's going to be a hell of a set.
I mean, we're making fun of uncommon, so I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Franklin Von Doom, Battle World Other, Fantastic Four, Latveria, and Cosmic Keywords. My thoughts and desires come to fruition is his first trait. Free, choose one. If 5 or less Franklin Von Doom's generated terrain markers are on the map, generate a terrain marker hindering, water, or blocking in an adjacent square. Or remove all terrain markers except debris from a square within range and line of fire. He's got a special attack power which he has in his first 3 clicks, Incapacitate and Telekinesis. He's got a special defense power on his last 2 clicks that give him Stop, Power Cosmic, Colossal, and Impervious. And he's got a special damage power she has on his first 3 clicks, Reality Warp, Probability Control, Outwit, but only when Franklin Von Doom occupies a terrain marker. He's got the Doom team ability. Didn't use the Doom team ability. He's got 9 range with 2 targets. Jay? Did I say his special attack power gives him incapacity and telekinesis? I hope I did.
You did.
Okay, cool. I'm so sleepy.
I know.
That day. Jay, what do you think of Franklin Von Doom?
He's okay. No, I think that he needs to have those stats top dial and have a don't die mechanic, and also I don't know. I mean, even if you paid like 70 points for like the support stuff at the beginning, take out that awesome stuff and give him other support powers, I think he's still pretty good. Like, he's kind of unseen, but without the improved targeting. Mm-hmm. Like, assuming you change the dial that way. But then he turns into literally Unimind at 150 if he goes +2 on attack and defense, but also he has a 5 printed damage instead of a 4. So, he's okay. And also he can make barrier after. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I don't know. This is only like the 5th best figure in the set.
Tom.
Well, I'm more enthusiastic than Jay is, obviously.
I
was trying to be sarcastic.
I think Jay broke
tell.
somewhere.
yeah. You're not. I knew you were being sarcastic, but you may not have been sarcastic about the fact that he's not even the best piece we've seen. But that is because this says Borkin. I must admit that if I'm going to spend 70 points for this, I can't see a lot of times where I wouldn't just spend the extra 5 points and get Ulysses' Claw. I mean, I want to get that extra ESD.
You can't say that when I have liquids in my mouth. I'm in front of a computer, Tom.
Like when this guy dies, he doesn't even have a 50-50 shot of doing a small amount of damage to anybody around him. All he's got is a 13 attack, 5 damage, 9 range dual target colossal stop click with impervious. Followed by another stop click.
No. You're forgetting that he's going to be within 6 range instead of 9 from Black Leopard. That's the strat to beat him.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I mean, I'm glad that he only has 2 stop clicks, because that way, whenever he kills people and heals off of them, he becomes 3, 4, 5, 6 stop clicks. It isn't as good as having printed ESD on the last click, so I really miss having the 6-click dial. But he is only 70 points, so I guess the point formula probably is working in our favor. There's really a couple different scenarios, right? Like there's the scenario in which you're under fire enough that he's taking damage and he's becoming God Galactus and killing everybody on the field and becoming unkillable. But there may also be games where you just win without that having to be a thing. So, there's a lot of different scenarios. Just losing isn't one of them. And for that reason, I think that he's probably a pretty good use of 70 points.
There's a lot of scenarios and losing isn't one of them. Mike,
awesome.
anything you want to add, Mike?
That's how you do sarcasm, Jay.
Right? That was some epic level of sarcasm.
About how Cannibal is the same every time. Apparently this guy is just the Godslayer, killer of all worlds, killer of game balance. I mean, if the rare is the worst one, we're in trouble.
I'll give it
Question.
this. I mean, I've always wondered, how do you make a Franklin Richards that feels about right? And this is probably it. He doesn't come to the map being a god. He just gets there if he needs to. So
yeah, pretty much. It's like
design.
It's like switching into his PJs, really. It's like, I'm just going to be godlike right now.
Mm-hmm.
Quick
That's
question.
how I would describe PJ.
Quick question for our PJs.
I
like
know.
pajamas.
I know. I was
But
being
hey,
hilarious.
if Franklin Richards wants to slip into PJ, whatever.
Yeah, that's
he's
gonna
a
be
cute ginger.
We're gonna call those last couple as PJ clicks.
Oh God.
I just like to get in some warm PJ.
What was your question there, Mike?
To our resident judge. Just confirming that last bit where it says remove all terrain markers. That doesn't necessarily mean his terrain markers.
It's all terrain markers except debris from a square within range of line of fire.
So somebody else's barrier or whatever, he could just boop.
Yeah. It's also weird because I don't know. I mean, there is the stacking of terrain markers part. I don't know how often that's going to matter.
No, but it was more just along the lines of it's not necessarily his own terrain markers. It's just any terrain markers in that square within his range and line of fire.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be his own. Yeah, he can just he can just phase up 11 and get rid of. Yeah, he has a 20 swing to get rid of their barrier. Yeah.
Just walk right up and say, no, that barrier's not there anymore. Yeah, because he didn't have enough going on at 70 points.
He's basically a hard counter for Claw.
Totally. All I know is I have to go and change my order from like 1 case to 3. Because clearly the chases in this set, you need to just build a team of the chases from this set and call it a day.
That's only if you want to win.
It's a good thing retirement's tomorrow because he's no chamber.
I hope the first time Jay brings us on a map in a competitive tournament, his first round opponent gets him when he's on click 3 with a Finn Balor. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Hot damn.
But yeah, no, Franklin's really good. He's got a lot going for him. He's really strong. I'm not going to deny that. But I think he falls under the beatable category. I mean, he brings a lot of utility for 70 points. And like Tom said, if he comes in with those support powers, that's enough in a lot of cases. And like the range you get on probability control outwit of 9, like that's almost unheard of nowadays, unless you're using the liar ring or whatever it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So he's a super effective character. He's really good, but I don't see him as the force du jour gonna break everybody's team. He's gonna. He's gonna.
It's just that it's 70 points, he fits into a team so easily and leaves so much room for other great stuff.
Jason's point is well made, though. He's not finishing the game himself.
No, but he doesn't need to. Like, the investment of 70 points. Like, this isn't like looking at Witch Queen, where we spent half our points on our team, and now that figure's got to come through. This figure is probably going to come through for you almost every time. Even if he doesn't, you're like, 70 points, man. 70 points is that Batman. Is common Batman.
And here's another thing. When two Franklins are on the board, they almost don't have probability control and outwit. Because one Franklin's going to take the other one's debris markers out, and they have to make it in an adjacent square. And he doesn't have sidestep to start. You're going to have to find... I mean, yes, you can carry him. You can find a way to move him, which means you do have to have that. So two Franklins on the map are actually each other's problems to a number of degrees.
But also remember, it just says when he occupies a terrain marker. It's not relying upon his terrain marker.
Yeah, but then you...
So give him a Nightbringer ring.
Well, then he has to get into it. Or, I guess that if you want to. But then...
You can put it on yourself with a Nightbringer ring. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, just have anybody else with it. Like, it's not hard to get him into a terrain marker.
Yeah, I definitely will agree with Jason to some degree of that. Like, and also, like, he's the obvious thing. Like, people are going to build with him in mind. Mm-hmm. And, they're either going to try and not let if there's a way to get into the click easily, like, I don't know, they'll not want their opponent to do that. They'll Finn Balor, because Finn Balor is just good in general. They'll, what's the other thing? I had other words. Okay, yeah, he doesn't do anything fundamentally broken, except for be broken in terms of the cost. Exactly. Like, he's not Valeria warping, it's funny, he's not warping the game itself, he's just undercosted.
Yeah, totally. And I think there's a chase deduction, as it were, occurring here. All right.
Apparently.
So next up, we're hitting Mr. Clix Fix's previews. If you want to check out the original video, it's in the description below. So we're going to start off with Firelord, who has the Nova Core, Cosmic, and Herald keywords. He's 150 or 40 points with the Power Cosmic team ability. I'm not getting into that special power just yet. I need a breath because this is insane. Cosmic Heat Beyond Compare. Energy Explosion, Poison. When Firelord uses Energy Explosion, after resolutions, deal X damage to each hit character, where X is the number of other opposing characters adjacent to that character. He only has it on the first 3 clicks of his 150-point dial, but he also has a 40-point dial that's like hypersonic speed with invulnerable and just really solid stats here. 8 range with 3 targets. And this Energy Explosion reminds me of the old rules, like Rule 001A of what Energy Explosion used to do. Because you used to be able to multi-target 3 guys next to each other, and then those 3 guys would splash onto the guys next to them, and then like the guy in the middle back would take like 3 Energy Explosion damage. Now that guy is about to take 5 Energy Explosion damage because Firelord just Energy Exploded and said, okay, now that I'm done, everybody... like, this is... he might not necessarily break the game at the 150-point dial, but he's a sealed uncommon bomb. And I love when I see uncommons in a set for sealed that are at this power level. Like, this forces some very split up play. Like, if you see a Firelord the other side of the table that's being played at 150 points in a sealed game, do not bunch together. You will die. You will die. That said, overall, he's really cool uncommon. I don't foresee anything beyond the 40-point dial seeing much in the way of play for competitive play. I mean, a 40-point hypersonic character with the Power Cosmic with the stats that he has is reasonable, and could be up for consideration to up those Cosmic teams. I don't think the Nova Core is quite calling for Firelord just yet. We'll see in some future sets, but it's a start. And yeah, so overall, I like Firelord, and I like that this is a bomb sealed piece. And the 40-point, I can foresee some level of play in competitive play. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think you put it pretty well. That is a really kind of a bananas attack power in a very specific scenario that your opponent can get around through their own positioning. But they're obviously having to modify their, well, they're not obviously, but in a lot of cases, they will have to modify their own positioning in order to build around it. And that's the sort of disruption that you want to have when you're playing a piece that is half your build total. And so, I don't think that he's got good enough stats and reliable enough powers that I think you will see much play at 150, but at least he's one that it's nice to keep in the back of your mind if some kind of clustering strategy becomes really oppressive and overpowered, and he might have the ability to deal with it. So I'm glad of what he brings to the game, even if I don't see it being useful, because he's the sort of watchdog piece, or he has a sort of watchdog power that is always valuable to have out there to try to keep certain strategies under control. As you say, I think the 40-point line is vastly more viable. There's not a lot to say about it. It's good powers and stats for the points, and that is all. But sometimes that's all you need when the points are low enough. And at 40 points, I think they are. So, yeah, good figure. I wouldn't be unhappy to pull him.
Mike?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you guys said. I just have to add in, I really don't understand the 2-point lines. This 150 down to 40-point thing, it seems off, like somehow we're missing a mid-point dial section, maybe a couple of clicks or something, I don't know, or there should have been another line. I just don't know. It just seems really weird to me. The way it's like the point value system has gone out the window. But other than that, everything you guys said is correct. Definitely, I would be looking at this guy in sealed. And absolutely, against certain teams that are designed to be together and cluster together, you don't want to see Firelord across the map. No way.
Jay?
I don't have anything else to add constructively, but I have a couple jokes. First of all, it's funny. If you look at the set list, his collector number is 030, and Claw is 029, so I would definitely say he's no 2 Claw 75. And the other joke is that...
oh, wait, that was a joke?
No, he's right.
I hate you. With that special power, it would have been the perfect prank on me to actually print a bunch of defenders in this set, because they never print that team ability. So can you imagine the one time they actually print a bunch of defenders? It's like the one time you can't cluster of any kind.
Use the defender's team ability. I dare you!
So dare you.
Not only am I about to energy explode you, I'm about to energy vaporize you.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a perfect prank on me. Yeah, you should retroactively give a bunch of characters defender's team ability. I would hate it.
You're good.
See, I don't think you should dog Clawman. He's got ESD. He's perfect against Firelord.
Yeah.
Firelord's never... You can't see me, Firelord.
Yeah.
Well,
unless I'm wrong, I believe he gets +4 to his range defense on his last click.
Look at that.
Unless I'm wrong.
Well, also...
I like that you said twice, unless I'm wrong.
You have him on the last click, he has ESD 3 times, so, that's the new meta.
Yeah, that's too much.
All right, let's move on to the Human Torch. He's a rare figure number 35. He's got the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Inhumans, Negative Zone, and Celebrity keyword. Return of the Fantastic Four. Friendly characters with the Fantastic Four keyword within 4 squares can use enhancement. Sorry, I just... Taste Nova Blast Galactus is his special attack power. Pulse Wave. Taste Nova Blast Galactus.
I don't know. It doesn't It doesn't sound dirty, and yet it's all I can think about.
You want to taste some Nova Blast Galactus?
How does my Nova Blast taste? It's still warm. It's been in my pocket all day.
Pulse Wave. When Human Torch uses it, after resolutions, you may choose an opposing character that can use Protected Pulse Wave or Protected Pulse Wave. Sorry, Protected Pulse Wave or Protected Pulse Wave within half his range and line of fire, and deal that character 1 penetrating damage. This includes stop clicks. They specifically mention.
I'm glad they do.
Yeah, Absorb Flame, which he has on his damage power. Human Torch and adjacent friendly characters take no damage from energy explosion or poison.
Take that, Firelord.
Hi, Firelord.
Right? Yeah.
I'm only 75 points.
Yeah, or 60. Or 60. He's got the Fantastic Four team ability, 6 range. Tom, what do you think of the rare Human Torch?
Yeah. I like him.
Where does he fit on the claw scale?
I mean, I feel like that's just we've really set ourselves a standard, and unfortunately, that standard is this piece better than Claw? And so that's sort of like doing a high jump over like a tipped over golf club. Um, yeah, he's better than Claw. He doesn't have willpower, which is very Johnny. I appreciate that. I don't know where to start with this guy because I there's a lot to like about him. I never trust a piece that starts out with running shot and pulse wave. The greatest combination in the world is running shot pulse wave, and everyone knows it. So when I look at this Human Torch, I just think, well, he's definitely going to get hit because it's very difficult to imagine pulling off that running shot pulse wave. But I love the fact that he's got the people who have protected pulse wave still take a penetrating damage. That's neat. A really fun idea, and it feels, that doesn't feel like super Nova Blasty, but taste that, Galactus.
Taste Nova Blast, Galactus.
Taste my Nova Blast.
And he does have enhancement, which is great. They didn't print it on his actual dial though, so I guess he can only do it once. Oh well, yeah, so it goes. We can't all be Claw. He's good. He's very much worth his points at both of his values. He's got a deep dial. 7 clicks for 75 points means that you can push and not worry too much about it. And so, I can't say a single bad thing about this figure. I'm just having a hard time getting excited about it because when I see a figure that just has an obvious target on him and is not well enough defended to make sure to be able to protect himself against being that target, then I don't trust it. So, yeah, I'd rather have him than Claw. I mean, that's a given, but I don't think that he will. I don't think he will live long enough to see his full value.
So I'm going to say this before I pass to Mike. I think what was his Thunderbird scale has been replaced with the Claw scale. Mike.
I'm just going to say now, Claw will be my sleeper pick for winning PJ's tournament. Final round.
A few characters left in the last round.
That's it. No one else is going to play him. Final round. Claw. What are you playing Claw for?
Well, when he dies, he might deal damage.
That's it. Well, everybody else is going to be playing crappy figures, and he's going to die and take out the whole team. Ha winner. Tom, I think you really, really nailed it. I felt exactly the same way. I love running shot pulse wave, especially his running shot pulse wave, especially because of how many times I accidentally tried to pulse wave a group of people that included some Groots, and the Groots went, "Stop click, you idiot." So, yeah, I mean, I love him for that, but exactly like you're saying, it's this 17 defense with nothing to really protect him in terms of soaking up damage. Everybody knows what you're going to do with him. Everybody's going to be constantly counting out, okay, how far could Johnny Storm running shot pulse wave to? They're always going to be building around preventing that, and you really have to build a team around him to let it happen. But remembering again our whole making a new Fantastic Four thing where you could bring stuff off the sideline, here's another great figure to have on your sideline, either at 75 or 60 points, so now he becomes more buildable in that way. And against certain teams, he's going to be a perfect figure to bring onto the map when you sort of rejig your team at the beginning to have this option. So I think as a toolbox figure in that sense, I think he has even more value than in an initial build team where everybody's going to sort of be prepared to take him out.
Jay?
It's definitely Human Torch style. I will give it that. It is notable how we've already seen a bunch of cheap Fantastic Four in the set, like 30-point Valeria, who's so overcosted already, but what can you do? And we already saw the 40-point Common Sue Storm. And in that render, or the pictures of the real figures that WizKids put up, you can see that other common Fantastic Four are 40 as well. So basically, in the right situation where you do want to use Human Torch, you will definitely get a lot of use out of the enhancement, although its own range is not bad, but it could definitely use a little bit of help. But yeah, I could agree with it's a contingency plan sort of thing, and I'd be surprised if you really are arguing between more than 9 of these characters, and even then, I'm sure you could pare it down. So I would be surprised if he didn't end up on those sidelines. Yeah. Although then again, Troublearts and Troublemakers exist, so I guess it'll be.
It feels like we say that so often. Like, who's going to be on the field?
Right.
I do have to add as well because as Jay said, there's going to be a lot of cheap Fantastic Four characters. That means there's a lot of possible characters to be giving him the enhancement, not necessarily for the running for the pulse wave, but for a 6-range shot, easily getting 6 damage out of him. And one of the big problems that we always say about a character with range and you're using enhancement is that energy explosion is problematic for him. Well, he protects all your characters from that energy explosion. So I think he's like so well designed. It's like he does everything you want him to do, but he is by definition the glassiest of cannons. And
see, I think they're really. I think as we look at these Fantastic Four figures, I think they're really built with that mechanic in mind of switching in these different combinations of figures, because so many of them are, okay, this is a main force, this is a sort of a niche market figure, this is a whatever, and with the different point values, I think they're really trying to encourage that mechanic, and clearly that's a mechanic that's now replaced ID cards. It's our next level of rebuilding, readjusting our team to deal with things situationally.
Yeah, it's good to print.
Is this guy the reason we put Franklin Richards on our team? To get that willpower?
Yeah, that's a thing.
The 65-point rare one, right?
Yeah, the Paracosmic. Yeah, that's only one of the... Yeah, we have only seen one other of those traits. Enhancement and Paracosmic are pretty good start.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was just going to say, like, yeah, I like this mechanic existing, especially because... It actually kind of reminds me of ID cards because you do get to use more of your collection just inherently.
Exactly.
And at the same time, there needed to be some mechanics coming out that are give you incentive to play not 9 troublers or troublemakers. Like that just seems like a really stupid thing.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I can't remember.
I'm going to go fighting against that by not owning enough.
I can't. Lending you Fantastic Four figures would be so painful.
What's that WhatsApp chat there, Tom? How many Troublers do you need to borrow?
It's also nice to see anti-poison because it doesn't solve anything, but it helps that one of the main Widow things is the poison. So
it does give me pause for hesitation because I have been considering the Jokers a lot lately.
What Jokers?
From JLU.
Oh yeah.
I thought you were talking about everybody here.
No, that's just me. Although, I don't mind them dying.
He's a midnight toker.
What? Well, sorry, someone call.
Well,
it's not midnight already, is it?
Given where my icon is at midnight the bottom, somewhere. I got clowns to the left of me, Jokers to the right. Here I am. All right, moving on.
1 second. You just reminded me that there's a 0-point character with a better blow-up mechanic than Claw.
Exactly what I was talking about with the Jokers. Earlier.
Yeah, but they don't have 7 clicks of ESD on a 6-click dial.
Yeah.
You're right. They have 2 clicks of poison. And shape change and super senses. All right, next up is the super rare Prime Ghost Rider. Now, I'm going to schmooze a little about this before we get into the dial. I love the fact that this is a Prime of a character that is a vastly different model. This is a double base motorcycle model that they're going for with the Ghost Rider. And the regular super rare is just a Ghost Rider standing on a single base. They went way off the wall on the super rare Prime, and kudos to WizKids. Keep this up. This kind of stuff really makes the Primes a little bit more appealing as characters. Sorry, done. Fantastic Four mystical keywords for the Ghost Rider. Circle of 4 trait. If Ghost Rider hasn't been moved or placed this turn, modify attack and damage +1. Spirit of Vengeance is the next trait. Power. If no other friendly character has been placed this turn, choose an opposing character that attacked a friendly character since your last turn. Place Ghost Rider such that she can make a close attack targeting the chosen character, then do so. She's got a special attack in places in the dial. Sin Manipulation that gives her poison and steal energy. She's got a stop or special defense power gives her stop. Saved by the Spirit it's called. And she's got it on 2 different clicks. Stop and Invincible. Ignores elevated and hindering for movement. Indomitable. Mystic's team ability can be played at 100 or 40 points. Mike, you get the lead on the Ghost Rider.
Which is awesome because, one, I totally agree with that. I love the fact that they chose a different sculpt. We love to see different sculpts. You're keeping it fresh. I also just finished reading a whole bunch of Ghost Rider stuff. I read I've been reading the new Ghost Rider King of Hell sort of series and stuff. She made an appearance in the recent Absolute Carnage stuff that happened. I won't say anything about it for those who maybe are reading that and don't know what happened to her. So a lot of cool stuff around this character to begin with. So excited to see her in the set. The sculpt looks wicked. I really like this figure. I do. I mean, I love to see top-loaded probability control on a figure. That immediately makes them useful. Mystical is already a great keyword. Here's a sort of a power action, colossal retaliating of sorts type figure. There's a part of me that sort of almost wants to play the 100 point, but doesn't want to play the 100 point. Like the 100 point is like a trap, because it seems like, oh great, well I'm going to get 2 stop clicks out of that. But I honestly, I just don't quite. I'd rather play. It's like the Ultra Humanite thing. I'd rather play 2 of her at 40 points than 1 of her at 100 points.
Considering her starting click is almost exactly the same.
That's what I'm
good
saying,
damn
right?
thing she's a prime.
Yeah,
right? Exactly.
There's better cheating you can do.
Yeah, you can't do it, but it's just that's how it feels when you look at her at 100 points. Like it's just like I don't really, like you're tempting me to give you 60 more points for that extra stop click, but it just doesn't quite feel right. 40 points? Oh hell yeah! Are you kidding me? This 40-point mystical character to fill in on a mystical team. Have I mentioned mystical? Is fantastic again because you've.
Sorry, was that mystical?
Mystical. Holy cow. I don't know. How about have her at 40 points, 2 Tri-Sentinels, that's 60 points. There's 100 points. 2 Wendigos. That's only 130 points, and I've got 5 mystical figures on my team, 3 of which can do colossal retaliating. Yeah, I might be a little excited about this figure. Oh, on top of that, it's 40 points to have hypersonic precision strike, 3 damage prob. That's great. This is great. Thank God they made it a prime, because absolutely I would be playing 3 or 4 of these things at 40 points. Are you kidding me? Bargain basement prices. I think Ghost Rider's okay.
Jay?
I'm not that sold on the fact that she's. I can kind of see the primeness with like retaliating off of any attack, but basically, I would like her priminess a lot less if there were like mystical primes that were more compelling, and like Spider Woman is fine, but yeah, I'm happy that doesn't really affect it. And what's it called? It's weird to call like a 40-point piece that starts with hypersonic support piece, but I think it feels like a lot of it is in the prob. They give a prob character with at least a reducer. Like, yeah, it's not a great reducer, and she's going to get Psychic Blasted probably, but then it's Mystics and then Invincible, Still Energy, Retaliate still. Like, there's just a lot there. And the attacking part isn't underwhelming, but I think it's just good enough. Just the prob, like, everything, and then the attacking is just kind of what puts the package all together for worth it at 40 points. And also theoretically, if like something, I also like. Obviously, there's most retaliators are 2x2, but I like the idea of being able to position with the peanut base and set up for poison if that's what you're going for, and then you have Steel Energy for later, or maybe on the retaliation. Like there's just enough here. I think that it's not the first prime I reach for in the general grand scheme of things, but it's definitely good on the teams that you want it on. I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Tom?
Yeah, I am a big fan. You know how people on YouTube and stuff like to do, tier lists? You've seen this type of thing where people say, like, these are the things
that... on a new show.
That's true. The Heroclix needs that. But what I was really going to say is that, if you were to do, like, a tier list thing on, like, the powers in each slot, I'm not going to say what's the best, but I would say hypersonic speed is probably going to make your top tier in speed. It'll be one of the best. I would say precision.
Lovely.
Right. Exactly. Precision strike should also make your top tier in attack powers. Again, it may not be your number 1, but it should be up there. And prob should be in your top tier of damage powers. So the fact that she has in 3 of the 4 slots amongst the best powers there are to have, and they are all powers that work together, is enough to put the package together for me. I actually really like her even at 100, because the fact that you've got the double stop clicks, with the ability to heal off those stop clicks, combined with quasi retaliation power, and as noted, just some of the best powers you can have in each slot, are enough to come together to make her good enough to make me want to put her on my team. And she's also kind of the answer. This is the reason that I dropped that rhetorical question earlier about, who's actually going to be on your team. I mean, to me, she is. I think I can imagine a Fantastic Four team where she's one of the ones who's actually on the board, because there will be situations where either at 40 or 100, there may be other combinations of characters more useful for the game. But as an all-purpose good figure, you could do a lot worse than Hypersonic, Precision Strike, Willpower, Prob Control with double stop clicks, Mystics, and Retaliation. That's a lot.
Totally.
Yeah.
40 points is also probably just a good value to have with the math of stuff. Like if you somehow don't want to use Valeria, like if you have her and Valeria on the team, that makes Franklin sort of thing. Like it should be at least useful. Like, yeah, the main forcing, I mean, you want to main force your printed prob, and then, well, it's weird because like, when do you want to get rid of her? It's like kind of like you're not going to really put her on the sideline ever. You're also never going to want to get rid of her, so you definitely are main forcing her. But like I said, just it's probably a good point value. I don't think we've quite seen that value necessarily, except for the commons. But
I think an important thing about her point value, to add on to whatever has been said, is Mystical along the way, somewhere down there, lost low point prob. It just disappeared. I mean, I think the lowest point prob right now is 50 points in Dario Agger on Mystical.
Technically, no, because you've got Alex Wilder at 25 who could have
prob. I think of Alex Wilder as...
you've also got Shade at 45 points.
Again.
I can hear hairs being split.
Yeah, no, but Shade is 45
cool,
points.
You found two. They used to have, what, 7 to 8?
Yes, okay. I agree with that, yes.
All right, cool. The point I'm making is, it's good that it's coming back again. It's good that we're seeing some, and this is one of those figures that I don't mind, let's throw some low point Mystical on there. And she's the survivability of the stop click on the 40-point dial, I think, is worth noting, especially when you consider one of the stronger Colossal Retaliators right now being Tri-Sentinel. Even if they get the single target on the Ghost Rider, Ghost Rider's going to survive the attack, and if you can get the right stat boosts on her attack, she's going to not only get her own retaliate and kill the Tri-Sentinel. I say she's probably just going to charge it, whatever. She's going to get the steal energy off of that. So she's going to go back off of the stop click, and then you got to get your way back on there. I mean, just given this particular series of situations on a 40-point character who's got prob on my Mystical team, I think everything on this package is fantastic, and the Fantastic Four is looking really good, and having a character with on-dial prob is a good thing to have, especially at this low point. And there seems to be quite a few really good support characters on this level that's really making the Fantastic Four keyword, who's getting everything in this set, because the Fantastic Four hasn't existed, and they're doing that thing where it's like, here's everything Fantastic Four for a little bit, enjoy it, so that now we can start putting it in sets again. Anyway, long story short, I like this figure a lot, for so many reasons, and I do foresee myself kind of revisiting Mystical at times, because it does have a certain degree of the survivability that we need in this current metagame, because things that... Oh, they're after me again. There is a big demand right now, because so much is on the board for survivability. You got to survive the fight that's on the map. And, it's just how the game looks right now. I mean, even the Black Widow, who we all complain about, has sort of a stop click, right? It's not stop, but it is, hey, you're going to heal back a bit here, all your stuff is gone, but you're still alive.
Yeah, close enough.
Right? The Captain Marvel who's seeing some play has stop clicks. It's... Survivability is becoming pretty important again, and this Ghost Rider exemplifies part of why that is there. So...
Yeah, it's pretty neat that she's just, like, she's not don't die, but she's extremely survivable for the points. And it's also interesting how, like, you can go pretty aggro with her for 40 points, like, the damage and all the powers. And, like, you can just end her there because, yeah, her speed isn't so high that she'll escape, but you can pretty much just throw her out there, and then if you're Mystical, you have good retail, so it's like either you have to put too many attacks into this, and then it has Mystics, and then you damage my character. Like, there's just... and that doesn't even factor in steel energy. Like it does just enough in so many areas. It's just it's going to be very, very useful and just annoying enough to play against. And it's like,
Well, sure, especially if you look at, on average now, a lot of teams are coming up with leadership on their teams when we play at 300 Modern. So a lot of teams are running with about 4 actions if you don't include some autonomous bystanders or whatever. But you can regularly expect to face an opponent who's going to take 4 actions. Right. So it's going to take 2 in a turn to kill her at 40 points. So half their actions have to be used on attacks, just 2 successful attacks on her, just to take her at 40 points, right? So that's great. I mean, if my opponent wants to take 2 whole actions to focus on this 40-point figure, I mean, obviously, if it's my last 40-point figure, well, it's not such a big deal. But earlier on in the game, if you're wasting those actions going after my 40-point figure, what's going on with the rest of my 260 points? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of value in this figure, especially at 40 points.
Yeah. So this set is really shaping up to be pretty awesome. And have you guys had a chance to look at all the images that WizKids shared of all the figures? We see what's in there.
Yeah.
Are you guys,
pretty much all of it.
How you guys are feeling on the overall, like, the collection of stuff that's in the set? Tom.
I feel good. I mean, there's a lot of repeated sculpts. And that's fine for me since I've never really been about collecting this game for the sculpts. In a set where they're very much leaning into the form of the new Fantastic Four power, it seems like we're going to get an absolute boatload of Fantastic Four pieces. So it'll be highly viable. We've already seen it's enough to be viable, and there's more to come. I'm also just excited. They've got a nice little, I'm just excited to see the Fantastic Four. So, like, I looked at it, and I was thinking to myself, like, what could this have in it that would have me not excited? And I guess the only answer would be not Fantastic Four. So they ticked the only box they needed to for me, and as a result, I'm very excited. I mean, I can nitpick individual things all day long, but that's a waste of time. There's never been a set that's come out where I've been excited for 100% of the pieces. The very fact that I'm excited for such a large portion of the pieces in this set is all it takes for me to be really quite pumped. I'm glad they shared that, and I'm excited.
Mike?
Look, when I saw that they had living laser in the set, I just knew this is the one. This is the set of the year. No, I'm just. It is actually. There's a living laser, which is pretty kind of cool. And
I missed that?
Yeah, he's right in the. I mean, I turned it on my iPad, but you're not going to see it.
Maybe he'll have the 19 defense again.
If you look at the picture that they put, where they're all in the white background, he's right next to the Super Rare Prime Ghost Rider.
Oh man,
it's him in the classic, like, brown and green costume or whatever. It's great.
Yeah, I think you can see that he's 75, which is a decent point value now.
Yeah.
For,
There's a lot.
Well, it could go either way at that point.
Yeah, right.
As long as he sits higher on the claw scale.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the set. I think there's a lot of stuff in this set that's like, woo, wow, this is the direction we're going with Heroclix. All right. Definitely that Fantastic Four thing is a major part of it. I was obviously, I'm always a little bit sad when I see sculpt reuse there. It does then feel a little repetitive, when you start to pull many of those same figures, because those are your commons and your uncommons. But there's a lot of great stuff in the set, and things I wasn't expecting. So the Ghost Riders I wasn't expecting. I don't know why I wasn't expecting the Skrulls when I totally should be expecting the Skrulls, because they made their first appearance in Fantastic Four. So it only makes sense that that's where we would see some Skrulls in there. So I'm super excited for them. Overall, yeah, I'm into this set. I think there's almost like it split itself up into, like, a third of the set is very themey, the Frightful Four stuff and whatever, and then you've got another third that's a good mid-range stuff, and then you've got at least this really hot third that's coming in and is just going to flip the meta on its head for sure. And there's a lot of overlap from that middle third because of the Fantastic Four trait. So I'm excited for the potential of this set, and I'm hopeful that my feeling of it broadening how people are going to build will overall be correct. And unfortunately, or I hope that it won't unfortunately turn out to be limiting, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Jay?
I mean, there's 2 Earth-X figures, so what else? What else matters, really?
Right.
Yeah, it's slightly more remake heavy than I would have liked, but then again, like there's the original Fantastic Four, there's the newest costume iteration, and then we haven't seen any uncommons. I don't know, maybe more experience level, but and there's like some other characters that I would quibble about, but overall, I mean, sculpt reuse saves money. That's to be expected to some degree. And no set list is ever going to be perfect. And even when I really think about it, there's only a handful of figures that are really like, oh man, this really, really, really should have been in the set. And like, like maybe we'll get an OP kit with like, I don't know, Mad Thinker and Puppet Master and stuff like that. Like those figures are going to come. It's not like, well, maybe not Puppet Master because he wasn't made since Infinity Challenge. But
No, but he was so good, you never needed to make him again.
Yeah, if only there was a Golden Age format where you could play.
Gave him mind control. Nailed it.
Yeah. Mike has muted himself. I can see his mouth moving.
Eventually, we're going to become an ASMR podcast. I do kind of want to slightly... I don't know if it's been mentioned, because I have been messing around with some things. But in defense of the model reuse, especially in this, there's a set that I'm going to allow it, and it is this one.
Right.
Because we haven't had them in
Fantastic Four. Just give it all to us. And, for all the villains that we missed, we haven't had the Fantastic Four themselves. They completely need to rebuild the keyword, and I understand it. And there is a Doom in every rarity, and that makes me smile. Because the Doombot counts as a Doom. Because most of the time it's a Doombot.
There's a Lat variant.
Yeah.
Are you counting Earth-X Reed as Doom? Is there a Doom? I'm genuinely asking.
He's counting. Okay,
Yeah, he's good enough. He's
in the Doom outfit.
No, I'm not
he creates Doombots.
I was genuinely asking.
No, I'm counting it. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, Doom 29. Yeah, because we already knew God Doom, but 2099. That's a very pleasant surprise.
That was a smiling surprise for me. I was like, really? All right, awesome.
I have to. This is unrelated to the set list, but I have to admit, ever since we started talking about Ghost Rider, then I looked up Alejandro by Lady Gaga because it's awesome and sounds enough like Alejandro. And boy, the music video is something. It is something else.
You went into Lady Gaga. What were you expecting?
I like it. I like Lady Gaga, and I love this song.
Her music videos is like the pop version of what you expect out of a heavy metal music video, if you ask me. Like she's the pop version of Tool when it comes to music videos.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Which is awesome. All right. That said, is there anything anybody wants to add before we move on to questions?
Let's go.
No Fantastic Four outfit. She-Hulk is an outrage, and I'm very sad about it.
God, like it was a week in the 80s and a couple weeks in the 90s. Everybody's got to chill.
No, she was great. I guess maybe I was just happened to be reading at the right time. I very much associate her with.
I think it was around Secret Wars. I think was when.
Yeah.
It happened.
Anyway,
Or Secret
I
Wars
agree.
2,
It was a missed opportunity, but hey, that's what pre-sculpts or repaints are for.
Yeah, or OP kits, because we have a mold of She-Hulk sitting from Secret Wars Battle World. Pull it into an OP kit, and it'll be the Fantastic Four ? Or Interrobang afterwards. Okay, Zombie Lord in the Patreon. Oh, sorry, if you want to be a patron, check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. We've revamped the whole system so you don't have to show up on time for anything. So check it out. Again, patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. We appreciate all the support that we have. We are on the lookout for another $15 patron because we currently have one. And if we have two, we can start pitting their teams together and have us playing their stuff. Or we'll see what we can do with it. But it's a new tier or kind of a returning tier where you get to build teams, and the four of us will be the ones playing them. So we're on the lookout for that before July. We have one. Get some more. And
build me some theme teams. Nothing but Frightful 4 with Claw.
In fact, my goal now is everybody who builds their 300-point modern team, I'm going to find the specifically non-theme ones. I'm going to specifically give them the mic without telling them. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, please do check that out because the first set of questions here is going to come from our patron-only Discord. And the first one comes from Zombie Lord. And he was asking about there's a 6-figure Justice League theme team that he's been seeing starting to make the rounds. And he wasn't sure, like, he gave me kind of a rough idea of the build. Jay and Tom, you might be more familiar with or might have seen it in passing, because I know you guys are plugged in on the online scene, but it's been using the Martian Manhunter, the Superman from the both of which from the starter set.
Yeah, the starter.
Are you sure it's on 100 point Superman?
Pretty sure. Hold on a second. Is it you? No. This is my abused figure for my desk. Every time I get angry, I throw it at the wall. Hawkgirl, Atom, Micron. So it's basically like kind of using some degree of an Alpha Strike setup.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So have you heard about this yet? Or
no? I've heard of like Manager, Superman, and then like Batman, Waller, and support. I haven't heard of. I mean, there's obviously potential there because that Superman, moves, does awesome things. I can see why that's a team. I just had not heard of it yet. So that sounds respectable.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Micron and the Atom and anything really turn any team into an Alpha Strike machine. Obviously, Martian Manhunter moving Superman up makes a lot of sense. It also makes a lot of sense for Hawkgirl. Like, that swing becomes crazy if we're talking about the rare Hawkgirl, that is. Yeah, I think there's a lot you can do with it. I haven't heard of it, but by all means, I think it's a very potentially viable team. You do get an extra action out of it and everything because it's the 6-character thing. It's cool.
I like named theme.
There you go. So Mike is probably definitely looking at it.
Oh, I'll go looking for it. That sounds like fun. I'm in.
I'm absolutely looking at Justice League teams. Like, there's a lot of different ones, but with the Prime Batman out there, then I don't know how you how you don't at least consider it.
Yeah, it also has a 5 action total because of I believe it's. I can't remember which of the figures. The starter figures.
Starter figures.
Sorry, he mentions the Flash is in there.
I mean, nothing matters to me until my Spider-Man family team comes out like 4 months from now or whatever. Like everything's just filler until then.
It's kind of how I've been feeling about Latveria until like pretty soon my Latveria teams are going to show up, right?
Pretty sure we'll have more Earth X.
David C. Is Jason's beard about to rise up and try to overthrow the country? Is that the next stage of 2020?
Yeah, well, we are in a weakened state. Now would be the time.
Now's the time. I've been growing it.
I'm still waiting for the comb up. The comb up. No, remember the chest hair. You're gonna work the chest. You're gonna do a chest beard.
I mean, I haven't touched that stuff, so it'll grow. Like, it's already coming up on its own. Look, see? I've had to keep it at bay over here, so it's already kind of there. I think this is actual question. Does Human Torch's damage to all characters with protected outwit beat WWE range immunity? I do believe it is protected pulse wave. Did I read that wrong?
No, they have protected pulse wave built into the chamber.
Then yeah, the thing so that will force them to take the extra damage, correct?
Yeah, because it's a character that just has it. So
yeah, it does kind of become a bit of a problem for the WWE figures.
Yeah. Well, the only problem, it's only one character, and then you have to get a pulse wave, and like I feel like if you're playing WWE, is like I feel like you're either playing like random Finn Balor or like on a mystical team or like a full team. I guess random Eddie is a thing too, but I feel like given that it's one target and it has to be adjacent, and also it's already energy explosion, so you'd be hitting them to begin with. Or no, it's pulse wave. That was energy explosion first. I mean. Yeah, but like it's enough of a thing that if it messes up your positioning.
Hey, the question's a fair one. Does it get through WWE? And it does. So
yes,
it does.
The answer is yes.
So barring the fact that for the most part it doesn't really affect them, it affects them. Okay, and apparently we have a defender of Claw here, and his last click ESD. If he loses all of his keywords on his last click, he still has energy.
Jeez.
I hope he's laughing as hard as we are on it.
He makes a point.
It's a valid point. It is not wrong.
I wonder how much of his 75 points went towards that scenario.
Right.
Because if it was more than 0, it's a ripoff.
Step 1: who causes you to lose all keywords consistently?
I think the only one that comes to mind immediately is Red Onslaught has that one weird power.
Okay,
is it
so
makes sense. He is pretty meta. And so's Claw.
I can't pick on Red Onslaught again, so I'm gonna keep quiet.
Is it like that riddle? You know, if a tree falls in a forest. So if a Claw loses all his keywords on the last click, does anybody care? Do they still ask you, why the hell are you playing Claw?
If a Red Onslaught and a Claw are on the table, why is Red Onslaught attacking the Claw? Why is the Sentinel doing it?
If Red Onslaught and Claw on the table, what round in the PJ tournament are we in?
It is round 5, and it's the loser's bracket. All right. Going in time order. Sorry, Rick Ryan. Which of the Fantastic Four Chase Von Doom kids do you think will see the most competitive play? I think they both look really interesting. My vote's for Valeria, mostly because of how very little she takes up with points and her flexibility for the most part. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I guess I agree. I think it's also Valeria. I think they both have their pros and cons, but let's face it, Valeria's less than half the points, and she has some pretty broken effects, so makes sense to me.
Before we move on to Mike's opinion, Dave Seawood says he's dying here. This is the funniest episode since Winter Soldier. Mike.
Oh yeah, the Winter Soldier. That was a good one.
Yeah, I can't disagree with Valeria. I mean, right out of the bat, it's the half points really thing. Like it's easier to fit her in. Though, personally, I'm looking at Franklin more as I start to sort of run teams around in my head and variations, and especially looking outside of Fantastic Four. I kind of like Franklin more for what I like to do with the team and his niche, but I think Valeria will get way more play overall.
All right, Jay?
Franklin is just a good package, good piece, good stats. Valeria is busted. And also the points, and also... I mean, even if she was only 30 points, didn't have that trait, scientists still needed leadership, and is a great keyword. So, yeah.
All right. We have 2 from the Alpha patron, Mr. Michael Fedor. The first one. Has anyone noticed if the Doombot Pogs are matched up click stats with the Doombot Pawn commons like the Atlantean Warriors were? No. I believe the Pogs have like shape change and not super sensitive, Psychic Blast, and I believe the Doombots have the special damage power and energy explosion, so they don't match up in any way, shape, or form. Unfortunately.
Different model year.
Yeah.
What was the first one? What was the question?
It was, do the Doombots match up with the Doombot Pog stat-wise from the starter set?
Yeah.
I think it's like Running Sharp Precision Strike?
It was either Precision Strike or Psychic Blast. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm pulling it up right now. Who's in charge of this Fantastic Four starter on the... there it is. Running Shot. You're right. Precision Strike and Shape Change with 18 defense with toughness and Indomitable. Minions, Doom, Team Ability, 25 points. So, they're vastly different.
Yeah, they're better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends.
I mean, they're better, but like they're also 10 points more, and so you know.
And they also don't protect your Doom as well.
That's true.
Michael Fedor wants to know: is the new Justice League Unlimited set popper friendly? I mean, it adds commons and uncommons, so at base value, yes. But
it's always true.
Last I checked, Amazo was the best piece in the format.
Yep,
so yeah.
Amazo was the first one that came to my mind.
You got Amazo, you got Dr. Fate, you got Joker.
Well, Dr. Fate,
Joker, yeah.
Highlander. So.
Oh yeah.
Joker. Well, the Joker can't start with the extra 2, but if you can pull off the shape change in game, you can get the extras.
That is correct.
So.
Let's not forget about Common Superman. You know.
Oh yeah, man, definitely game breaking right there.
But uncommon Superman, yeah, absolutely.
Where does common Superman sit on the claw scale?
Well, let's see. He has move and attack, yes. Deeper dial, yes. Better defended, yes.
Already better. He has move and attack. I mean,
claw, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. It's too bad that they don't share a keyword, or else Claw could give him ESD. He's got some to spare.
He's the Oprah of ESD.
Yeah,
you get an ESD, and you get an ESD.
I mean, they're both figures that are not going to see a great deal of play, so I guess they probably are on the same tier.
Yeah. I'm going to say that the Justice League Unlimited does add a number of things to it, specifically because I think they ruled that the team-up cards are going to be Pauper legal, which puts the
they're by far...
right there.
Price doesn't matter in Pauper anymore.
Yeah.
I've forgotten, is the starter Pauper?
Yes.
Yeah, starters and fast forces are Pauper.
Yeah, then I would give an even more enthusiastic endorsement, because I think there's a lot of good in that starter.
Yeah. And and when we're done with the Fantastic Four, let me tell you about the Cosmic Clash starter set. All right. Next up, that's that there. What's in the chat live? Ethan Beck, what are your predictions for God Doom? I believe a 100-point and 300-point dial, and a 500-point dial. And if he's bad, what channel can I find the freak out on for Jay? I believe he's talking about me. I want to see him tased. What? Where am I having this freak out?
Well,
am I doing the same thing that the guys who did the Coney 2012 thing, or just like running naked in the street because God Doom is bad? No, I'm not gonna react like that. I'm still gonna play him. If he's like 2 points, or if he's like 100 points below on the claw scale, like if he's sub claw, I'm still playing him at some point. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Predictions though, I can foresee minimum like 100 points for sure. I could see a 350 point top dial and like a 250 point under that. But I could also foresee like a 25 point dial that just kind of sits there and does something for your team. So I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
I doubt it. I mean, like, again, this is based on nothing. So, like, what is our pulled right out of the clear blue sky prediction? I doubt they'll give him like a low point, just sits at the back dial, if only because we haven't seen that in any of the others, and I think that they'll kind of follow suit. I also don't think they'll go super high with them. They rarely do anymore produce pieces that are above 300 points.
Yeah.
And, in a way, I think they've kind of realized that anytime they create a piece that is like a 400-point starting line, even when there are other starting lines, it always loses a little bit of luster. I guess that Unimind is the defining exception to that, right? But all the same, like like I say, it is an exception. There aren't a lot of others that I can think of. Everything always pales by comparison. I suspect it's going to be just like a broken 300-point piece that also has maybe a 200 and a 125 line or something, or even maybe 200 and 100, so that you can play him with Sue and the two kids at exactly 300 if you just have nothing but money. As for what he'll do, though, I mean, what I'd like to see him do is some kind of heavy map and terrain control, since he did create Battle World. But I suspect they'll likely just make him really powerful. I know that's kind of a lame prediction. That's not what I want to see. What I want to see is really cool map and terrain manipulation, representing the fact that he basically made the world. What I expect to see is a really powerful piece. Full stop. Mike?
I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to expect to see, to be honest, because WizKids does surprise me. What I think could happen and what should actually happen is I think they should actually design him like they did the Kingdom Come figures. And he's a beefy figure of high points, and then he's got this extra one click for a low point. And my explanation for this is, if you've read the whole Secret Wars series and all the side books, like I painfully have, you'll see overall Doom doesn't actually get involved a lot. He saves the world with Sheriff Strange. He saves all the universes, whatever. He makes Battleworld. He shoves them all together, and then he sits there on his throne, and he sends out the Thors to deal with things. He's got Valeria and her science squad doing research. He sends Sheriff Strange out to do things. I mean, most of the series, it's Doom sending other people out to do stuff for him. And then every once in a while, someone pisses him off enough, like Thanos, where Doom just pops up
from his stomach,
pulls his spine out, and then walks away again.
Oh, do you have an Infinity Gauntlet now?
So I kind of feel like we could get a Doom that you could play as a beefy, like, here I am running around, or you could have one that's almost like a Colossal Retaliator of sorts. Like, he sits there and he doesn't do anything until somebody sets him off, and then he just comes in and eradicates a person, I don't know. I mean, it's God Doom. Like, it's such a high. The bar could be so high. This guy absorbed the power of the Beyonder. He fused worlds together. So it could be anything. But honestly, I would be really into seeing almost like that 2-dial thing. So you've got this beefy fighting, attacking, or you've got this omnipotent. I just point my finger once in a while and poof. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Jay?
Just for reference, after Unimind retires, there's only one single base figure over 300, which is the Superman Prime at 350. The weird thing about making a God Doom now is that there's already a 300-point standard Doom. It's like where do you go from there, right? The 300-point Doom is definitely worth the points, especially when you build around him with other stuff, maybe, or 200. But I don't know. I feel like the only way you do that at that point is maybe less points, but just really undercosted. Like, I could see somewhere between 175 to 200, but just grossly undercosted. Like, I think there's definitely precedent for something like that.
Well, yeah, I don't think that the I hear what you're saying, but the whole idea of lining up power level with point value is not really a thing we see. And Mike's point is well made. I think that the point value we see of God, Emperor, Doom represents the degree of his contribution more so than the depth of his power. I mean, the depth of his power, he should be an insane piece, but he doesn't contribute a lot. In the same way of like in this very podcast, I don't know whether anyone's going to remember because we've been at it for a while, but we were referring to a piece earlier named Claw, who was 75 points, outstripping Franklin Richards. And although I think there is some precedent in the comic for Claw being more powerful than Franklin, I think it's a hard argument to make. So I think based on that, I think that they will. Your point is well made. That make him like a crazy deal. That's what they've done with all the other chases. Why stop now?
Yeah, and that was actually kind of leads to my next point. You kind of can't figure out his points on precedent of the other chases of his pseudo family because it's adds up to 205. Is 175 and 30. So it's not like he's going to be 95 unless they do that low dial. So I could definitely.
Who's 75?
Or Franklin. Or no, he's 70. Okay.
He's 70. You're thinking of Claw.
Yeah, 75 points for Franklin would have been overcosted. I could see a lower 100-point line in addition. Yeah, maybe there's something like a humongous line, reasonable but still has good stats, super undercosted. I mean, Mortal Hulk is 100. 100 is not a bad point value now. So I could definitely see 300, 100, and then the low sitting on the throne dial sort of thing.
All right. So with that said, that's all we got for questions, I believe. Looks like it.
Who are the other chases? That's what I want to know.
Last two are Maker and
Maker.
Fantastic.
Oh.
I know. I'm so excited for Maker.
Wait, did you say the last is Mr. Fantastic?
Yeah, there's a Battle World Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Maker we saw. Presumably, the Maker makes the Maker's Pogs,
right? It's the tiny, it's the mole man, Mr. Fantastic, isn't it? That's what we need from Battle Worlds. Yeah. It's he's tiny. He's actually shrunken down, and he looks like Mole Man. It's fantastic. Yeah, I can't wait. And Maker, I can't believe it. I'm so excited.
It's so awesome.
Maker seems kind of out of place there, unless
who does?
Maker.
No, Maker
totally
was pretty big in that storyline.
Was he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember being in the Cabal, and then the stuff happens at the beginning.
I guess the same could be argued of all the other Cabal members. So the fact that it's him and no one else is a little.
Well, he's way more involved at the end. The rest of the Cabal basically falls Like
Namor's
Corvus Glaive and what's her face Proxima. The two of them get taken out pretty easily. Black Swan comes and joins up with Doom and just kind of stands around for a while after that and doesn't do much action. Like Maker's involved at the end when everything is being put back right and all
it's
that.
Justifiable. It's justifiable for no other reason that we haven't seen that member of the Pagal of the Cabal, whereas we have seen everyone else. So,
correct me if I'm wrong. Is the Maker is supposed to be ultimate?
Yeah, he's Ultimate Reed Richards who turns into a villain.
Okay.
Exactly.
I just wanted to make sure because when it comes to the Ultimate Fantastic Four, that's also where they introduced the zombie universe. So I was like, okay, hold on a second, but it's the Ultimate one. Yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah, awesome. It runs off the rails really late in the series. Like it was going one whole direction, and then holy cow, does it go off the rails?
I remember that. It was about the time that they came to the zombie world. It was like, we're just going. It was like, but where? It's like we're just going.
Well, the whole Reed becoming Maker thing is just nuts. It's just totally nuts. Like but it only makes sense when you read the early issues and how much he was abused by his father and everything. Like this kid was rife to snap.
Yeah, and you like reading that. I was like, oh man, I'm surprised he is a hero right now. Nope. Okay, cool. All right, that's it. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jay, for joining us. Thank you guys on the Patreon Discord. Thank you guys for watching us live. Thank you guys for watching us in the archives. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching. So I also want to thank our sponsors over at MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders. 2 days away from rotation. It's time to start thinking about what we're going to be doing in the future, and some of the great minds in Heroclix are probably going to be helping you out with that. So join the Apex Insiders. $3 a month gets you access to some of the great brains in Heroclix, and MajesticCCG.com is your one-stop source for all things Heroclix. So check that out. Also, guys, if you want to support us directly, check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclix, where you can get early access to our videos or some specialized patron content that's coming around the corner, guys. Sorry about the delay on that. Got a little crazy this weekend. But that said, like I said, rotation's around the corner. It's time to start learning how to play this game on the map. And how do you do that? You get some practice, because practice will make your teams better. Have a good night, everybody.